many of them have joined, because I'm going to record it now. We are not making it live as of now, but we'll be recording the session. Meena Didi, please start recording now.
I did.
Thank you. Okay, let's start the conference. So let's sit with the spine erect, eyes closed. Let's take a normal deep breath in and out. Again, a normal deep breath in and out. Now for Omkar, we will take a normal deep breath in. Om. Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha, Guru Sakshat Parabrahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha, Ajnantimirandhasya, Jnananjana Salakaya, Chakshurunmilitam Yena, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Pushpanjalim samarpayami Shri Shri Guru Kamal Charanebhyo Namaha. Slowly and gradually, we will open our eyes. Jai Gurudev. Okay, so let's begin the conference. Respected chief guest and the divine participants, it gives me immense pleasure to announce that I, Archana Shukla, on behalf of the Team Samhita Foundation and Science of Sanskrit, invite you all to this 2 days international conference, that is Making Sanskrit Interdisciplinary, the Approaches and the Challenges. I would like to extend my warm welcome to our dignitaries, Dr. Uma Upadhyay and Dr. Amit Srivas for inaugurational ceremony. Dr. Uma Upadhyay, she is a retired professor of Sanskrit in a government college. She has done her PhD on the plays of Sanskrit and which are based on Mahabharata up till 10 AD. She is highly proficient in Sanskrit and had taught Laghu Siddhanta Kaumudi to many scholars. And Dr. Amit, he is another chief guest of this particular conference. He is an orthopedic and sports physiotherapist, founder, director, and chief consultant at PhysioCure Clinic, Mumbai, and carries more than 15 years of experience. The team, Science of Sanskrit, is also happy to announce that within a short period of time, it has reached out to people across globe and very successfully imparting and conducting Sanskrit classes across globe. Coming to our divine participants, the words fall short for them. They are the real gold of this academy. They are gold not because I say so, but because Kalidas has to say so. Kalidas says in Raghuvansham, Hemnaha Salyakshate Yagnau Vishuddhim Syamika Piva. The real test of the gold is to be examined based on its competence to get tested inside the fire. I must say that all the divine participants of Science of Sanskrit are the real gold, no doubt about it. They took it as a challenge to decode the ancient most grammatical sutras of Maharshi Padini, and within a short span of stipulated time, they are touching the maximum segment of Sanskrit domain. They are equipped with grammar, literature, conversational Sanskrit, and Agam and Nigam, that is transcendental knowledge within a short span of time. And thereby, they are also able to remove the myths and stereotypes of the particular Sanskrit that has been prevailed against that particular language. Thereby, without taking much time, I would request the chief guest ma'am to speak some words of encouragement for all of us. Uma ma'am, I would request you to speak some words of encouragement for us. Thank you.
नमस्कार। मैं आज अभिभूत हूँ आपके इस कार्यक्रम को देख करके, क्योंकि आपने इतना अच्छा विषय लिया है, जिस विषय को संस्कृत अपने में समाहित किए हुए है। संस्कृत तो एक ऐसा विषय है जिसमें साइंस, टेक्नोलॉजी सब कुछ है, और उसको फिर से एक बार आप लोगों ने प्रकट करने के लिए ये कॉन्फ्रेंस का कार्यक्रम आयोजित किया है, और इसके लिए आप सब विद्वानों का मैं दिल से, हृदय से अभिनंदन करती हूँ, और आप सबको आशीर्वाद देती हूँ कि आप अपने इस कार्यक्रम में बिल्कुल सफलतापूर्वक आगे बढ़ते जाएं, और हमेशा इसी तरह से बड़े वृद्धजनों के प्रति अपना जो सम्मान भाव है वो बनाए रखें। धन्यवाद।
Thank you, ma'am. It has been indeed a pleasure to hear the words of encouragement from you. Again, I would also extend my warm welcome to our another chief guest, Dr. Amish Srivas. Dr. Amish Srivas is a motivational support and outstanding divine guidance, has motivated me to be an entrepreneur in the world of academy. His inclination towards Seva has propelled me to come up with this 5G project through Samhita Foundation. Thereby, I would request Dr. Amish Srivas to say a few words of encouragement to us. So, Dr. Amish, it is up to you now.
Thank you, Mrs. Archana ji, and thank you everyone. Good morning to all of you. I'm not any scholar here. I'm just kind of a well-wishers, and I want to appreciate the effort Archana ji is taking, and on behalf of Samhita Foundation, I want to welcome all of you, all the participants around the globe, and such a holy subject we have taken. Like Sanskrit is considered the holy language and the ancient language of the world. And since my childhood, I'm oriented towards our cultural heritage of ancient India, that I was always curious to know why we lost the general uses to public the Sanskrit language. And in my school days also, just for 1 or 2 class, we just studied just a few classes, that's it. And I was always wondering. And then I met Archana ji, and the so much of love about for Sanskrit she had. And I was always curious why she loved so much, and her English is also very good. So I was just wondering, and here and there I used to listen in the news that Sanskrit is technical language for the computers, technology, and here is this conference today. So I'm curious to know what are the challenges and approaches you people want to present, and want to understand how we can revive this language again, because this is the need of the hour. So again, I want to congratulate all of you and welcome on behalf of foundation, and want to give best wishes to you. Thank you.
So with this concluding wonderful remark by our respected dignitaries, I would like to kind of begin the session. And let's begin the session. The first session will be kind of, the first presentation will be made by the Vidya Didi and team. They'll be making presentation for half an hour, the topic that they have already decided. And Vidya Didi and team, kindly proceed with the presentation. Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to share my screen. You see? Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Wait. There is one kind of things which I wanted to conclude about like a brief introduction about Vanna Didi and Vidya Didi. Wait. Yeah, about Vanna Didi. She's a Master of Science, Life Science in 1997. Pondicherry University, Pondicherry, India. Honors Diploma in System Management, NIIT, Pondicherry, India, 1994 to 1997. Project Management Professional working with Westinghouse Electric Canada for the past 15 years. Professional trained Bharatanatyam dancer. Hobbies are dancing, hiking, rock climbing, yoga, traveling, and learning Sanskrit. For Vidya Didi, I would like to say that she is born in India, engineer in computer science in 1989, Pondicherry Engineering College, MBA, Santa Clara University, California, USA 2002. Special ED teacher since 2008, practitioners of art of living since 2008. Hobbies are hiking, yoga, traveling, and learning Sanskrit. Okay, thank you. With this note, I would request these two divine participants to begin with presentation.
Thank you.
Good morning, good evening to the global audience. We both are sisters, Vidya is my sister, and we take extreme pride and privilege to actually be a part of this conference today. And also very humbled to actually get into learning Sanskrit and to have Archana ji as our teacher. So with this, I just wanted to start with our topic, which is the effects of Sanskrit chants on human physiology. As we started learning Sanskrit, there was something that we recognized, a deep calmness, focus, and something that was happening to us. So, and one thing we found was Sanskrit was such a powerful language and ancient language, but the way it was taught, the structure of its letters, the consonants, the way it was brought to us was through the form of sound. Everything was in the form of a sound. So next slide, please. And then we figured out that it had some uniqueness to it. It was based on the place of its pronunciation. That is, the words would be associated with a part of the body, the kanta or the murdha or the talu. The effort required for each of the words, whether it was alpa prana or mahaprana, how we need to pronounce it. The duration of by which it is produced, whether it was dhirga or plutaha, it had to be rishva. And then the quality of the sound, which was, it was udhata, anudhata, or it was swarita. So we figured out, or were fascinated, how can the basis of a language be such that it was musical, it was sequential, and it was so sound-based. So there must have been a connection between the sound and that of its impact on the human cells and the physiology. And as we looked back and we thought about it, and we all know that our seers and the olden, like, the sages, they would chant hymns, group hymns and group Vedas, and, they would have homas, and there would be a mass, pronunciation of these amazing chants, and thus cause vibrational positivity to the entire ecosystem, to the entire universe, to the entire prakriya. And so we wanted to understand what this really was, and thus we started delving more into the different words and sounds of it. And then we landed up with this small attempt of understanding, and found so many more, like, for example, facts of just small words in Sanskrit, and yet they had this huge impact, huge magic on every part of the cell. Next slide, please. Of course, we all know the Pranava mantra Om, and there's no explanation. It's self-explanatory. It is actually the cosmic energy space. It contains all sounds by itself. It's one of the first mantras. We all know, everybody chants it. But then as we delve deeper, it's not only the chant is, it is also how long one can chant, prolonged chanting of it, what it is, yet it is the Sanskrit word, and it contains 3 letters, A, O, and So this sound waves, this Om actually creates a highly vibrational sound wave that resonates with the frequency of our consciousness, of our higher self. As we chant Om, anybody can see it as prolonged chant Om, we feel calm, we feel composed, we feel centered. And why is that? The R creates, like actually it is creating a vibration. As you see, the vibration actually touches your chest and the solar plexus area. The ooh, this syllable resonates along with the upper palate, and it actually creates a strong vibration in the throat area. And the it resonates and it causes deep silence, and actually is from the head and the head area. What it has seen and what we have seen, and it has proved that this clinically helps fight depression, fight anxiety. Just these three words, Om, it actually strengthens the spinal cord, believe it or not. It fights fatigue. It actually lowers blood pressure, it improves heart health, and also it improves blood circulation by removing all the toxins. We were fascinated. How can one word in Sanskrit have such deep meaning, deep rooted meaning? And then there was the scientific evidence to prove it. It shows that the chant actually produces alpha waves, which calms the mind. It has positive, immense effect on the human physiology. It again increases pain tolerance, it boosts resilience, it lowers depression, it eases anxiety. So much are the benefits of the alpha waves. Then this got really interesting. Thought, how is it possible? And then we came across cymatics, the study of wave phenomena, which especially what it does is the sound waves. Cymatic is actually the study of a wave phenomena, the sound and wave and their visual representation. They actually can visually, you can see how the sound waves vibrates, and thus creating some amazing symmetric patterns. A therapy in which sound waves are directed at the body with the aim of promoting health. Generally, overall, if you look at it visually, if you see like waves, made of like really, really hard sounds or different noises, you can see that the symmetry of that shape gets blurred and it is asymmetrical. Whereas the symmetry of the Om they actually found was amazing. And if permitted, I will just play a very short 1-minute video because it just is fascinating to see. This shows that sound vibrations can move particles. And this is how even each cell of our body is actually getting energized. So if we can just click on the video. The link, sorry for the ad. If we can just, once we skip the ad, I think we can. This is actually this study shows actually this is salt which is being put on this media, and vibrational sounds have been drawn to this, and you can see the amazing symmetric creations right from the universal kind of structure to the Om that this has produced. Just with one Sanskrit word.
Can we have the sound also, Didi? Because the sound is not audible to us.
Suvidya Didi has tried.
Oh.
So you have to share the sound as well under settings, share image, share sound.
It's okay, Didi. Like we can
Just,
understand.
yeah. The next slide, please. The next slide. So finally, we again tried to find some clinical evidences because this got us really fascinating. And this is actually a graph that is shown of the brain systems. What it shows is that the initial chanting of single Om. So what they did was they had one person, like a normal person chanting Om, and it had like first as they chanted Om, you could see that the waves were up and down. There was different modulations. It also kind of had an effect. But as the second one, which is down, depicts the chanting of the Om by a normal person, but after some days of regular practice, of regular chanting, you could see that the waves are harmonious, and it was absolutely, the vibrational frequencies were all going through in one flow. You can see that how amazing this would be, and this is how we feel inside the continuous practice of Om. With this, I conclude my part of this thing and then hand it over to my sister, Vidya.
You are on mute, Vidya.
Oh, sorry. Okay. So we also came across some of the musicians. They have made something called toning, which is kind of an extension of our sound, which we produce with our vocal cords, and emphasizing on certain sounds. They have seen that these sounds affect certain parts of our body, and so this again can be correlated to our Vedic Shastras, which has something called Nada Yoga, which means the yoga of sound. And that also might be something that has probably been lost, but we are seeing that people are trying to bring up that research and see how these very simple sounds actually can affect different parts of our body. So toning, generally, they have overall seen that emphasis on certain sounds itself will release negative emotions and stress, and again improve focus and concentration. And our whole, as my sister was saying, when we started learning this language and to now, we feel that we are more alert and we are more focused. Overall, just our own experience, but I'm sure that people who are practicing these kind of chants on a regular basis definitely would also be experiencing something very similar. I'm sorry. Some of the vowel sounds, which are very basic rudimentary vowel sounds that we learn in Sanskrit, they found that saying that prolonged way kind of gets to certain parts of our body and kind of can have the ability to kind of make it like more harmonious, that the cells in that particular portion of our body. So there were some evidence that like the oo sound is more on our spinal cord or like our root chakra, like, and the O sound improves like our solar plexus. Ah sound has more like expansiveness around the heart region. A sound is more for our throat region, and E, these are just a few sounds, but these are some things that came up again and again when we were searching for it. E kind of goes more towards our head region and makes us more alert. And these are just the basics vowel sounds that we learn in Sanskrit, but even these have so much of power to actually influence our body. Maybe these can be used to actually heal our body, and we can do self-healing. That's probably was something like maybe known to sages before. We don't know. There's a lot of information that's not there. Another thing that we found was, which was so interesting, which we were both like so fascinated, was the sound, which is also at the end of Om. But a lot of us are also practitioners of Sahaj Samadhi, and many of the Bij mantras, they always, almost all of the Bij mantras, the mantras that have been given to us, ends with the anuswaram, which is sound. The sound actually is it kind of like is a humming sound, right? It produces. This was actually tested by like multiple scientific people who have done it, and there's a lot of evidence and there's a lot of papers published. The chanting of the humming causes some kind of air oscillation between like which increases the air between sinuses and our nasal cavity, and it starts increasing the production of nitrous oxide. And this nitrous oxide molecule actually helps in making our blood pressure go low. It helps to calm us down. Also helps to, it's a vasodilator, so makes us, anybody with like chest pain, things like that, that can go down. So we have seen that even like when we do the Brahmari breathing and everything, we can see that the humming sound definitely increases. So all of us have nitric oxide, but the thing is, as we grow older, the amount of nitric oxide actually reduces. So these type of chants, like with especially the ones with ends with the kind of sound, it definitely will regulate our cardiovascular, immune and nervous systems. And there is a lot of evidence, and I can cite like papers that have been, because they have done without humming and with humming, the amount of nitrous oxide that's produced near the nasal cavity. They have people have like scientifically proven that there's an enormous, a dramatical increase in nitrous oxide production.
What is nitrous oxide, Vidyadi?
Nitrous oxide is actually a molecule that will regulate our, it is already produced by our body, which kind of increases the blood vessel, like calms the blood vessels. It's a vasodilator, so the blood can flow smoothly without any pressure. So it kind of reduces the blood pressure. So it is produced by within ourselves, but as we grow older, we don't have enough production of nitrous oxide. So a lot of people will take additional medicines, like vasodilators have nitrous oxide. Like when you're having like a heart attack or something, people give extra, even morphine and things like that, they have nitric oxide. So there's a series of medicines that are given for calming the person and to actually reduce the pain, and those have nitric oxide, but our body itself produces it. But the sound of this, that humming sound itself is able to produce extra nitric oxide. So this is something that we found was like super fascinating. And there's a lot of papers that prove, of course, we have to take it to the next level of like, how we can like incorporate it and, in our ways to heal people without, like through sound or without medicines or other ways. But there are a lot of research and proof that this produces this molecule that's very much required for us, for our body to calm down, for our heart to kind of self-regulate, and also like our
I would also request other participants to come up with the questions, because Vidya Didi is only left with 2 minutes.
Yeah,
So
actually, so
anyway,
yeah, we were just saying that this just shows like there's so much to learn. There's such a vast hidden potential in Sanskrit. I don't know, like this, just like this vast ocean of knowledge. We just barely, like with our, what minimal time, we would able to like find out some kind of connections that Sanskrit sounds will definitely help us like heal ourselves. And obviously we are seeing the, some of the benefits by doing Om chanting and our Bij Mantra, Sahaj Samadhi chanting and all those things. So, and yeah, I think that's something we have to explore, but it's kind of very fascinating. That's what we were happy to do this.
Thank you so much. Didi, please switch off the slides.
Okay.
Well, I do understand that because of the time constraints and other challenges, we could not come up with more research in this behalf. I would also request that the next conferences, if any, if you're planning, we are come up with more research in this area. Thank you so much for taking this courageous lead. And yes, there is much scope of improvisation. So with this, I would really thank both of you for taking this lead. And I would request Bala Didi and the team to come up with their respective slides. Thank you. About Bala Didi, I would like to say something about Bala Didi and the team. Well, a brief introduction about this, about the dynamic ladies we have in front of us. Kamala Didi, your resume was not given to me, so I'm so sorry, your resume I don't have. I have the resume of only Bala Didi. Bala Didi is fortunate to have had multiple careers in her life. She served in the Indian Administrative Service while she lived in India. Then she came with the family to the USA and did her PhD in ecology. During her research, she developed an organic pesticides that she hoped will be produced by someone at low cost and given to poor farmers everywhere. Her career interest turned towards service to the underprivileged, and she studied nursing. She worked as an health officer, health educator in chronic disease management in the clinic for poor and undocumented people here in the USA. Since the pandemic started, she has devoted her full attention in studying Vedas, Vedic astrology, Ayurveda, and Sanskrit. So with this background, I would request Bala Didi and team to present the paper. Thank you.
So Kamalaji, would you like to go first?
Sure.
Okay. Hers is very short, so I let her go first. And sorry, we don't have any slide presentation. We didn't do a PowerPoint. I didn't think of it. If I had thought of it, I would have done it.
I wanted to say that the presentation of Vandana and Vidya was excellent, and I really enjoyed it. Thank you, girl. Thank you, ladies, for doing it. It was so nice. I'll give a brief introduction about myself because I didn't send the bio to Archana ji. I was born in India and have been living in the US since 1978. I did my master's in speech pathology at the University of Minnesota in 1970. And I've been a speech pathologist at schools for children, lately for children with autism. I retired 4 years back. My hobbies are learning Sanskrit, chanting the Gita, walking, and tutoring English language learners. And though my field is speech pathology, I'm a nervous speaker, so you'll excuse me if I cough many times. Okay, I'd like to say namaste to everybody and share with you how learning Sanskrit has enriched my life. If you pick up any magazines for seniors today, you'll usually find articles on how to keep fit, how to diet, exercise, and most important, how to keep your brain sharp. And this is really important for seniors. As we get older, we become very aware that we forget things, and that makes us nervous naturally. And you want to prevent that. So I used to search for brain enhancing activities all the time, especially after I retired. And I would do endless word building games and Sudoku and things like that, hoping to keep the brain sharp. And one of the top choices of activities advocated by medical professionals and scientists has been learn a new language. According to them, learning a new language has proven benefits for intelligence, memory, concentration, and lowered risk of dementia and Alzheimer's. So naturally, I was interested in doing that. So I said, why pick a new language? Why not pick the best language? So I picked Sanskrit, the mother of all languages, and I'm so glad I did. It has been an intellectually and spiritually uplifting journey for me. I studied speech pathology years ago at the University of Minnesota, and I really enjoyed it. The textbooks on articulation in particular, I really enjoyed. That's speech sound production. And Vandana had shown some of the slides on the different things that I'll also touch upon here. And as I said, I enjoyed the textbooks on articulation. Then I started learning Sanskrit 5 months ago. And I've discovered that the textbooks used at my university could have been written thousands of years ago in India. It was the same thing. And actually even better given here, all the information about vowels, consonants, classification of sounds, place of production, whether it's at the lips or the palate or the throat, behind the teeth, the manner of production, the amount of effort needed to produce a sound, its duration, etc. All of this has been described so beautifully and so systematically and clearly that, and I had just discovered this 5 months back. It was lovely. And then another thing we have been studying in our Sanskrit class is Sandhi. And it's a systematic way of combining two words. And we have to learn and memorize and apply rules to see how to combine the sounds so that we could form the words. And it's certainly a challenge for the brain, which is how I started the whole study of how to keep the brain sharp. And it's certainly building my memory and keeping my brain sharp. And there's so much more in my own field of speech pathology, but I can go back to the Sanskrit literature to see what theories there were regarding disfluency, voice disorders, swallowing, as well as therapies for working with speech problems in Parkinson's disease, in stroke, children with autism. There's so much to explore and learn. And the extra bonus I should mention from learning Sanskrit, of course, is that now the prayers and mantras that I have repeated for years have more meaning. And I also say the words correctly. And the big prize, of course, is that we get to read and chant the Bhagavad Gita. I thank my teacher, Archana ji, for inspiring me to learn more. Thank you, Ji. And thank you all for giving me this opportunity to say a few words. Namaste.
Awesome, Kamla Didi. My God, within a short period of stipulated time, you have presented so nicely. And we came up with extensive dimension to the area in which you have been like working, right? And I'm going to really take up this as a lead project for my Sanskrit to be interdisciplinary in your area wherever you're teaching. So thank you so much for this precise, brilliant, excellent, mind-boggling presentation. I'm overwhelmed. Thank you so much.
Now my nervousness has gone away. Thank you so much.
Wow, that was so lovely. Okay, now Bala Didi, please proceed.
Will Pramila ji would like to say a few words?
Yeah. Pramila Didi, would you like to say a few words?
Can you spotlight her?
I've started and I've forgotten. Yeah, I've got an extremely good teacher. She's helping me so much. I thought I'll never be able to learn Sanskrit, but I've learned so much in the last few months. So I thank you, Archana ji, for having patience on me and trying to keep up with me. Thank you.
Thank you, Pramila ji.
It's an honor being with you, Pramila Didi. Okay, Bala Didi will begin.
Namaste, everyone. My name is Bala, and the topic, the heading of my paper today, my working title was Sanskrit, a Gateway to Vedic Interdisciplinary Sciences. In this short paper, I will attempt to present the interdisciplinary nature of Vedic knowledge. Sanskrit provides the bridge to traverse this path. Among the many careers I have been fortunate enough to pursue, most recently I worked as a health educator with my primary focus on diabetes prevention and management. Today, I will begin with a discussion on the diagnosis, prevention, and treatment of diabetes, both from the Western point of view and from a Vedic perspective. In the course of my work, I came across several studies funded by the National Institutes of Health in the field of Ayurveda and the treatment of diabetes. The National Institute of Health in Bethesda, Maryland, here in the US, is the premier medical research center of the US government, and it's extremely well funded. Modern scientific medicine, turning to the East for answers, is becoming increasingly more common. In Western medicine, the two main types of diabetes are insulin-dependent diabetes and non-insulin dependent diabetes. Western medicine has not been able to control the rise of diabetes, and the numbers are increasing rapidly. Allopathic medicine, or modern scientific Western medicine, we call it allopathy, relies heavily on medications like metformin and insulin to control diabetes, with some success. But this depends on the patient's ability to purchase and continue taking these medicines lifelong. Not much emphasis is placed on diet and lifestyle management. These medicines are not their action is very questionable nowadays. Metformin, for instance, acts by working on the digestive system. It slows down digestion, and so that undigested food is excreted out of the body. And slowly and systematically, we are destroying the Agni of the digestive system. And in Ayurveda, everybody knows that having strong Agni is the key to good health, to longevity, to life, is having strong Agni. And so in the West, we give a medication called metformin, which actually destroys the Agni. So you can only imagine what the consequences of that are. The other long-term effect of insulin, on the other hand, it gives license to people who are receiving insulin to eat whatever I want. So no longer is there any self-control. It's that I have a drug which can take care of anything I eat. So this is the other method of treatment. In Ayurveda, so we have the Charaka Samhita. This contains the knowledge of the medical aspects of Ayurveda. Within this Samhita are the shlokas which contain the entire wealth of knowledge of diabetes. It describes 20 different varieties of diabetes based on a person's body type of Vata, Pitta, Kapha. In Kapha type diabetes, there are 10 types, and these are curable with some effort. Pitta type is of 6 kinds, and it's more easily curable. And Vata type is of 4 kinds and incurable. It describes how the disease process sets in, the treatment alternatives, and the possible outcomes. So the knowledge contained in Charaka Samhita is encrypted knowledge. And Ayurvedic practitioners need to know Sanskrit in order to decode these verses for themselves rather than rely on other people's commentaries. And so most Vaidyas will usually learn Sanskrit in the first year of their studies. A good Vaidya knows that the patient of diabetes is also influenced by the movement of planets, all the planets in the Antariksha, and his past karmas. When treating the patient, the Vaidya may also prescribe chanting of some hymns or shlokas to help alleviate some condition brought upon, for instance, by a debilitated moon or Venus. Both planets control the fluid balance in the body. In diabetes, we all know frequent urination is the main symptom. So maybe pacifying the moon, the influence of the moon and Venus, will be of benefit to the patient. Similarly, excess of sugar in the urine could be due to a badly placed Jupiter, causing the patient to eat too many sweets. Or an exalted Rahu, on the other hand, could cause a voracious appetite to develop, leading to diabetes. So Vedic astrology often goes hand in hand with Ayurveda, and knowledge of Sanskrit promotes this interdisciplinary approach to the treatment of diabetes in this patient. Then plant science and taxonomy. These are also an integral part of all Vedic texts, ancient Vedic texts. Ayurveda requires a thorough understanding of herbs and plants and their curative properties. There's a story that goes that once upon a time, one of the rishis of Ayurveda sent his disciple out to find out all the plants and herbs that are useless to humans in the surrounding areas. The disciple searched for several days, and finally he came back empty-handed. The sage was very happy, and he told his student that he was now qualified as a Vaidya, because not a single plant in our environment is useless. Every single plant is there for some purpose. So a knowledge of plants, their biology, taxonomy, and identification are also necessary for the practitioner of medicine, thereby placing yet another branch of study within the purview of the interdisciplinary studies of the doctor. Having a good knowledge of the scriptures is required to offer remedies to patients beyond medicines and medical treatments. And so this adds yet another dimension to the interdisciplinary nature of Vedic knowledge, and Sanskrit provides the means to acquire this. Then the Yoga Shastras of Patanjali are used extensively by Ayurvedic doctors. Doctors are expected to lead a clean, healthy, and simple life, free of cravings and aversions, free from the Shadripus, the 6 enemies of the mind: Kama, lust; Krodha, anger; Lobha, greed; Matsarya, jealousy; Mada, arrogance; and Moha, delusion. Yoga is the best means for acquiring this path in life. Vaidyas also prescribe yoga for curing many diseases. Breathing techniques such as pranayama and yoga asanas and meditation are documented to have tremendous health benefits. Kapalabhati pranayama is known to help in the control of diabetes. Ardha Matsyendra asana is known to stimulate the pancreas and help produce more insulin and control blood sugar. So this is yet another instance of the interweaving of several disciplines through the fabric of Sanskrit. So I'll move on to another aspect of Ayurveda. The Shushruta Samahita is that branch of Ayurveda that deals with surgery and surgical procedures. So the cesarean section or C-section, which is used to deliver breech babies, was practiced in Vedic times long before it was known in allopathic medicine. It was later transmitted to Greece, Italy, and Germany, and subsequently appropriated by them and incorporated into allopathy or modern Western medicine. But this may not be as mysterious as it appears. Much of modern medicine as we know it originated in Germany. Given that Sanskrit is the root language of the Indo-Aryan languages, which includes German, it is possible that the words of the ancient seers of truth were decoded in Europe before anybody had any written records. The interdisciplinary nature of Vedic knowledge and the role of Sanskrit and the role that Sanskrit plays in it is under discussion today because of its historical legacy. I would like to say a few words about the role of colonial rule in disrupting the development of Vedic knowledge in India. The success of colonial rule in India was due to the systematic and planned erosion of the educational system. Bharat, or India, as the colonial rulers called it, was a country of highly educated people steeped in knowledge ranging from mathematics, the material sciences, including civil and metallurgical engineering, Vedic literature, and philosophy. The quest for self-knowledge was the goal of public education in gurukuls. The emphasis was on metaphysics rather than material sciences. The colonizers realized very quickly that the educational system was the best means of conquest over the largely peace-loving, agri-based country. Their superior knowledge of weaponry and their knowledge of gunpowder and superior methods of killing and torture led to subduing of this huge subcontinent of India. The colonial empire succeeded in indoctrinating people through the educational system. It forced people to abandon their traditional educational systems and knowledge of Sanskrit and their native mother tongues. People now had to learn English, memorize useless facts that were meaningless and led to no skills. One merely had to memorize the facts that the colonial rulers wanted, and it was to create a system of power for them in order to uphold their beliefs and value systems without questioning. Children were made to learn Baba, Black Sheep, Simple Simon, Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star, and forget the beautiful Sanskrit shlokas that their grandparents and parents had taught them. By systematically making our lives meaningless, filling it with silly activities to pass the time, slowly but steadily the colonial cultural attitudes and beliefs were absorbed by the population. The long-term damage that this has done to the colonized people is that English is seen as the language of knowing. English is seen as sanctifying what is said in it. The Vedas are merely regarded as metaphysical texts, rich in philosophy of religion and chanting of prayers and performing of rituals. Scientific knowledge contained in the Vedas is not regarded as truly scientific by the Western world, due to it being an encrypted language and therefore difficult to decode by Western scholars. Due to the enigmatic nature of Sanskrit, such portions of the Vedas dealing with the material sciences are simply set aside as the poetic outbursts of the sages and therefore ignored. And poetic outbursts, by implication, is meaningless outbursts. Today, the power structure has changed and efforts are being made to bring back the knowledge of the Vedas and fully explore the depths of Vedic texts. Sanskrit plays a key role in all this, as all the Vedic knowledge is encoded in Sanskrit. Encryption is central to Sanskrit, as every letter is a bija mantram.
Outstanding.
And therefore every sound that is uttered is sacred. It is called Devavani for a reason. All of us who are in a position to influence societal values have a special role to play in the spread of Sanskrit as a living language, funding for research to decode the Vedas, and encouraging schools and colleges to adopt the study of Sanskrit as part of the school curriculum, both in India and abroad, is the need of the hour. Many thanks to Archana ji and all my colleagues who have so much love and understanding of Sanskrit and the phenomenal role it plays in all of our lives. It is truly the language of the gods. Thank you, Archana ji.
Outstanding, Baladiti. This is tears of gratitude for you, you know. Ayato vacho nivartante aprapya manasa saha. You know, the kind of presentation you people have made. You know, my speech doesn't go to that level. Thank you so much for making such a brilliant, excellent interdisciplinary presentation. And who are we to make Sanskrit interdisciplinary, right? Sanskrit is already interdisciplinary. We just have to realize it. Thank you so much, Baladidi. The words are falling short. Please submit me the research article that you have submitted. Anybody would like to say something about this brilliant presentation? I would really request some of you to come up with your ideas on a presentation that she has made for the encouragement and gratitude for this brilliant presenter. Thank you. Anita Didi, would you like to say something?
Absolutely brilliant, as you said. And, you know, one underestimates how Sanskrit is, as you said, just woven across every possible discipline. You know, out of least imagine speaking about diabetes and how to connect it. But yeah, it all goes down going back to our roots. There's so much knowledge that needs to be decoded. Thank you very much. Really leaves one with much food for thought. Thank you.
Thank you for your kind words.
Thank you. So with this, I would request Abhishek with his topic of presentation. Abhishek is the member of Samhita Foundation. He is the Secretariat Sachiv and also my brother. He was the one about whom I keep talking to all of you. Whenever I talk to him, I feel as if I have taken thousands of multivitamin and my sattva goes so high that I'm not able to sleep that day. He had some technical glitches, and with my rude phone call, I don't know how the technical glitches dissolved because I wanted him to be there very badly. So please welcome my brother and also my source of motivation in many ways, Abhishek Mishra, with his presentation, and kindly pay attention to what he has to say. Thank you. Over to you, Abhishek. You are not audible, Abhishek. Is he audible?
No.
He's not audible.
No.
He had some
Unmute.
very bad technical glitches today. Okay, Abhishek, what should we do then?
I think if you log off and rejoin, but you probably did not select the sound when you joined.
Yes, you did not select the sound when you joined, Abhishek. You log out again and log in again, okay? Log out करके log in करो.
Maybe the next presentation can come up now, and then he can come up afterwards.
Sumati ji was likely to give a presentation, but we'll have kind of shifted her presentation to the next day. So then we have Meena Didi with us for making presentation. Okay, Meena Didi, could you please come in the front?
Thank you, Archana ji.
And
Didi,
let me give the brief introduction about this another dynamic lady of our brilliant Samhita Foundation and the Science of Sanskrit group. You already know that she has been the pioneer in initiative. Whatever we are doing now, she has been the one who has been the motivating factor. She is my goddess Lakshmi, and because of her, many things changed in my life. She is the one who has sponsored her, Zoom link to me, through which I have been teaching people to across globe. I had no idea how the Zoom link has to be accessed. She gave several guidance to me by taking one-to-one session. So I'm highly grateful for this divine lead that she has taken for all of us. Anyways, her brief introduction starts with, she's a mother of 2 beautiful children, home science graduate and diploma in interior designing, volunteered with different art of living events since 2007. And she has educated people across globe in meditation, almost around thousands of people, I believe. Facilitator in Sky Breath Meditation Workshop. Hobbies are yoga, meditation, listening to knowledge, hiking, traveling, cooking, baking, chanting shlokas, and learning Sanskrit. So with this background, I would request Meena Didi to kindly proceed with her excellent observation on making Sanskrit interdisciplinary. Thank you.
Thank you, Archana ji. And thank you. My previous colleagues have presented really beautiful. Loved it. I'm also a little nervous like Kamla Didi, so please excuse me. Okay. And my topic is for today, it's 5 major benefits of learning Sanskrit. So we all know like Sanskrit is beneficial and it's like ancient language, and that is a huge part of India's culture. But now we are seeing like it's getting reduced, like people don't like to learn Sanskrit, and also there's no options also in the schools and all, like Bala Didi said, we do not have it. Sanskrit is century old with similarities to all Latin and Norse languages as well. However, unlike these languages, Sanskrit is very much alive today. This ancient Indian language has proven to be of use to us time and time again. And there's lots to uncover when it comes to the Sanskrit language. The benefit of Sanskrit are many, but we have listed top 5 here. A repository of knowledge. The ancient Sanskrit language holds much knowledge about the society and the universe. Several subject matters are written in depth in the knowledge, in the language. The importance of learning Sanskrit can be discussed with the amount of knowledge the language has to offer. From botany, biology, grammar to religion, astronomy, Ayurveda, the language has text written in horde of subjects. It is the myth that most texts written in Sanskrit language are religious. In fact, there's actually a lot more non-religious text written in every subject you can possibly imagine. Second is versatility. The Sanskrit language has a range of words to express a written object. There are over 200 words to signify just water.
Wow.
Sanskrit words are made of root words that have meanings of their own. Due to this, one could quickly grasp the surface meaning of the words in seconds, but take years to deduce the layers of meanings a few words hold may take ages. Similarly, a combination of root words and sounds can make an infinite words with stable meanings. This just means unlimited space for free, clear expression. Third is health benefit. Health benefits of learning Sanskrit. The benefits of learning Sanskrit are multiples. Here is a neat trick. Reciting out Sanskrit alphabets can be beneficial for your health. The way this works is reciting the Sanskrit alphabets results in you rhythmically using minimal and maximal breath, contraction and expansion in your breathing efforts. This system is the pranayama practice in itself. It aids in balancing and calming the mind. We bet no other language could do that. The research says MRI scan shows that memorizing the ancient mantras increases the size of brain regions associated with cognitive functions. The incredibly easy to learn. The Sanskrit, we think it is hard to learn, but it's incredibly easy to learn. Learning most languages, including English, requires you to learn the correct words first, and then stress over sentence construction. However, Sanskrit, the sentence, the boy ate dinner, makes as much sense as dinner the ate boy. Words can be mashed up in any order you desire to make a coherent sentences. Few examples are Sanskritam sulabham ataha aham Sanskritam pathami. Sanskrit is easy, so I am studying Sanskrit. Aptakale buddheha pariksha bhavati. The taste of intellect is during an emergency or in trouble. Giryoha madhye suryodaya sobhate. The sun looks beautiful between the two hills. And the fifth, last but not the least, mother of all languages. A lot of language, Indian language like Tamil, Hindi, Gujarati, and even Punjabi share root words with Sanskrit. Therefore, learning Sanskrit will make learning a whole bunch of Indian languages much easier. Sanskrit is an ancient language that shares a relation with Latin and Old Norse, and a lot of other Indo-Aryan languages. This is why it is also called the mother of all languages. The Sanskrit language is the gateway to learning other Indian languages. And they say, like, if you know Sanskrit, it's very easy for you to learn other languages. And here is some research which says back to Vedas for mental development. According to the study, Vedic learning positively affects the brain and lungs. Benefits includes increased brain plasticity, improved learning and memory, oral and motor coordination, sensory function, and lung function, impact on parts of brain and associated functions. increased gray matters in thalamus, improves motor sensory functions, learning and memory. Midbrain, better visual and auditory information processing. Pons and medulla, improves breathing patterns and repository capacity. Middle frontal brain aids focused attention. Angular gyrus aids memory recall. Increased brain thickness in temporal hole. Improves social and emotional skills. Increased surface structure in insula and supplementary motor areas. It provides better control of oral motor articulation and production of speech and sound. Superior frontal gyrus improves working memory. And when we say all this, why it affects the mind? Because the Varnopsthanani is the place of origins are throat, kantha, palate, talu, cerebrum, murda, labial, ostum, teeth, dantaha, throat and palate, kantan, talu, throat and lips, kantosto, teeth and palate, dantosto, and nose, nasika. Like it is like when you speak Sanskrit, it is like polishing your mouth, touching all the different parts of your mouth, and it is polishing. And there are sensory nerves ending, which goes to your brain and which affects and helps the brain and our memory. And it also helps in Alzheimer's and all other brain-related diseases. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Meena Didi. Within such a short span of time, you have come up with such a brilliant research article. Please do forward this to us. We are going to take it forward again to a very next level. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Joining us, for being with us. Outstanding. Okay, Abhishek, are you there? Are your technical glitches resolved? I believe. Can we have Abhishek in the front?
Yeah.
You're not audible, my dear. It's okay. We can take it tomorrow. Okay? We can take it tomorrow. Be ready for the presentation tomorrow. Anyways, I would request each one of you to kindly come up with few words of encouragement for all of us. And please kind of highlight the initiative that the Science of Sanskrit and Samhita Foundation team has taken. I would be really glad that if you please come up with few words for us. So we will start with the we'll start with Laura. Laura, can we have you in the front? And then we have our concluding ceremony chief guest, Dr. Akshay. He will be kind of giving the concluding remark. Laura, yes.
Well, I am so impressed with all of the research. We can experience the benefits day to day, and but it's so wonderful to hear the experience validated with this research. So thank you so much, everybody. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Laura. She's such an enthusiastic and passionate learner and the senior most batch amongst us. Okay, now I'd request Jonas to say a few words for us.
Namaste. It was wonderful. I didn't even nod for a second. You know, sometimes you listen to speeches. And...
Meena Didi, would you please spotlight Jonas?
Yeah.
So truly appreciate. I learned a lot, and I'm enthusiastic. Maybe I will write something. Go do some research.
Wow.
Too. Thank you so much.
Then Kea, I would request to come up with few words for us. Kea, are you there?
Sorry about that. I learned so much from the different.
Let me spotlight. Let me spotlight. Wait.
I learned so much from the beginning. Some of the information we already knew, but still it is refreshing all the knowledges, like, and whatever I knew, some more information on that from each and everyone's talk. Actually, really, it enriched my knowledge on Sanskrit and making me motivated. I just moving from level 1 to level 2. It made me more. It gave me more inspiration to learn and research on Sanskrit. In fact, I'm planning to do next time.
I would like to tell something about Kea, that she's also one of the most enthusiastic learner. And I've already predicted about her that she is the kind of brain that which she's invested with that is meant for Sanskrit grammar. She's again a very brilliant lady who is going to join us soon to be in this beautiful divine journey. Thank you, Kea. Ling Ling, I would like to have you. So after Kea, there is only Ling Ling, right?
Yeah.
Hello, everybody. Let me spotlight. Meena Didi, please spotlight Ling Ling.
Yeah, 1 minute. Let me find her. Where is she? Her video is on?
Yeah, her video is on. Achha,
Can
you can do one thing. After Ling Ling, you can spotlight each participants of your own. Okay, Didi? That will be more convenient for you, I believe.
Ling Ling, you can wave your hand so that it is
easy. I need to wave my hand.
She's
yeah. Hi, everybody. My name is Ling Ling, and I'm from Malaysia, third generations in Malaysia. My ancestor from China. I live in US right now. And learning Sanskrit to me is an amazing journey. And I learned so much from Archana ji. And whenever I look at the Sanskrit writing, I just like it. It's just beautiful. And I'm looking forward for my journey. And today's presentation is amazing too. It's really, I don't know what to say. Quite speechless, but thank you for having me here today. Thank you.
It's our pleasure too, Ling Ling. You're here with us. Okay, Meena Didi, you spotlighting each one. It will be convenient for you, I believe. Yeah.
Okay, many have their videos off.
So... No, Surekha Didi is here, Divya Didi, Surekha Anita. Didi. Yeah, Surekha Didi. We can have Surekha Didi with us. You are on mute, Surekha Didi. You have muted yourself. You have to log out and log in again, I believe.
No. Wait.
It is coming, yeah.
It's correct. Yeah. Thank you very much. I love Archana ji right from the beginning when I joined the class, Gita class, and all other one who represent today was amazing. You know, it's this language is like cover up with all other material thing, but now its material is going out and it's coming up in the surface now. So it's very nice. Everybody is participating today, and it's wonderful to Archana ji that she's putting too much effort to spread this word, Sanskrit word and Sanskrit knowledge to all over the world. Thank you.
Thank you, Surekha Didi, for being with us in the great Gita class. Please join Sanskrit class soon. We want you to be there as well. Okay. Thank you. Divya ji, hey, we miss you a lot, my dear.
Thank you so much, Archana ji. This is an amazing presentation. It really blew my mind, and the way I was just astonished by each and every speaker's effort in making this, and it's really very valuable information that I've gained today, and it's really making me more stronger in this journey. thank you for all the encouragement and encouraging the like us and to be strong in this path. Thank you for each and everyone for your valuable information. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Divya. We miss you in the class. Anyways. Sir Mohammed sir, can we have you? Okay, Priyan. Hey, Priyan. The most enthusiastic, the youngest participant of our batch. I keep on giving him the target, though he keeps on postponing it. Anyways.
Yes, everyone. It's Priyan Persuchia from South Africa. I love everyone's presentations today. It was absolutely awesome. I think in my age group, I almost find no one that I can speak about everything that we spoke about today, like Nada Yoga and Ayurveda and all of those sort of things. So it's awesome to know that there's people out there that's still in it and still make it relevant in their lives. And yeah, thank you, Archana, for all of the lessons. I really love it.
We're expecting a lot from you, Priyan. You have to do a lot in this field, and you're going to join hands in my academy, right? For that, I'm preparing you. Okay. Thank you. Best of luck for your journey. Anyways, can we have Mohammed sir with us?
I don't see him. He's there?
He's here. Kindly shake your hand, Mohammed sir. I can see him.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
No, I don't see him.
Mohammed sir.
Yes.
I can see him. After Marina Didi, Mohammed sir, I can see him.
I mean, I think the order can be different.
Order will be different, but yeah, when you start your video, then I can see.
So can you see me now?
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
Just in case. So thank you very much. It has been a wonderful first day of this conference. I learned a lot from every presentation, and I can see the enthusiasm and passion for Sanskrit, and I hope to continue on the journey in the future together. And yeah, it has been very wonderful, and I'm very grateful to Ms. Archana ji for her dedication to Sanskrit and to teaching each one of us.
I would like to tell something about Mohammed sir. He's the only participant that is like that. He challenges me so intellectually that he's the only one about like whenever I have to teach him beforehand, I have to open my book and learn a lot of things, because the kind of question he like bombard me with, it gives me so much of kind of goosebumps to start with new dimensions altogether. And you will be amazed to hear his grammatical interpretation on a particular sutras. As of now, whatever he has dealt, he has his outstanding mastery over that particular area. Thank you so much, sir, for being with us. You have been the brilliant source of motivation for us, especially me, I believe. Thank you, sir.
Thank you
Can
very
we have
much.
Uma Didi with us? Hey, Uma Didi, where are you?
I'm right here.
Hey. Yes, please start.
It's been, I am absolutely totally floored as what you have achieved, what you have gotten together. I am very proud of you, Archana, of where you have taken us all. We not even 10 in March is when I started my journey, and as I say, I've just learned, just like a thing, sagar mein boond. I'm just a little drop of water in this ocean of wealth of knowledge. Whatever was presented today, I'm very totally impressed with all the presenters. Thank you for, tomorrow I'm supposed to present and I'm saying, my God, I don't know if I'll be able to match all of you, but it's amazing. The journey that we've all had together. Just God bless you. Thank you.
Sumati ji, can we have you in the front? Let us spotlight you, Sumati ji.
Okay, here.
Jai Gurudev. Lovely presentation and very inspiring, and no words actually. as everyone said, like, no, I'm speechless and very grateful for this knowledge, actually. Nothing much to say. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Sumadhi ji. We are waiting for your presentation tomorrow. Okay.
Yeah, happy Gita Jayanti to everyone.
To everybody. Same to you too. Okay, can we have Marina Didi?
Yeah.
Yeah, Bala Didi is there. Okay, let it
Bala
her
Didi.
be. Hi, Bala Didi. She's from
Did you
South.
want me to speak, or is it
She's from Botswana. Mala Didi, you have to unmute yourself.
Mala Didi?
Good day, Archanaji. It was a very nice presentation from other parties. I don't know how we are going to do tomorrow. And I started Sanskrit, and I know it's a long way to go. It's a long journey. Thank you, Archanaji, taking us into this long path of Sanskrit journey. And thank you for everyone for presenting every nice presentations. I don't know how we are going to compare with them tomorrow.
Okay, there's no comparison.
No comparison.
Yes, yeah. Okay. Thank you for everyone. Thank you, Archanaji.
Thank you, Bala Didi. Thank you, Bala Didi, for your passion and enthusiasm. Marina Didi,
Mala.
kindly introduce where are you from first. Okay.
Yeah, hi everybody. I'm Marina and I'm originally from Sri Lanka, now living in Francistown, Botswana. So I don't know how I ended up learning Sanskrit. I'm from a Christian background and I don't know, somehow I saw a message in the Art of Living. I'm part of Art of Living group in Botswana. So I saw one message from Archanaji, then I started and I don't want to stop now. It's so fascinating and I will continue until Archanaji continue her lessons in Botswana, in online sessions. Thanks to Corona, actually, then only we learned these online classes. Otherwise, I don't know how we will get a chance to learn Sanskrit. So thank you very much. All the presenters, they have prepared really well. I have to thank everybody. You did a really good job. So the information you have gathered, the research you have done, so amazing. So much full of knowledge. So many things we didn't even know. So thank you, everybody. Yeah.
I would like to say one thing about Marina Didi. Marina Didi, kindly mute yourself. There's some buffering which is happening on your part. Okay. I would like to tell one thing very special in Marina Didi, which all of us need to learn. When she started the journey, she was completely alien, not even Varnamala she was introduced to. But her kind of, courage and the kind of passion to learn, especially when all of you are understanding and one candidate is not understanding, so he feels underestimated, and then he's not courageous enough or she's not courageous enough to come up with his or her queries. But I would like to congratulate Marina Didi in this behalf, that whenever she had trouble, she has stopped me then and there, because she knew the fact that that is her individual journey, that she has to take it forward. Okay. And since the language is tough, precisely, and also completely, we have no idea. So this initiative by the participant is very, very important. So this is something we have to learn from Marina Didi. I'm going to spotlight this particular characteristics of her in front of all of you. And now she shows equipped in grammatical interpretation, and her conversational Sanskrit is also strengthened just because of one attribute she had. Big congratulations for her. Thank you, Marina Didi. Okay, then we will have Krina. Hey, Krina, our technical philosopher, was the one who keep on, creating flyers for us. Thank you. Yes, Krina.
Good evening, good morning. I'm originally from Romania. When I was a child, I learned Latin, and I found that when I started Sanskrit, that there are some similarities, strong similarities in pronunciation. So it comes easy for me to pronounce. I wanted also especially to mention that Meena, I remember how I actually started this, learning Sanskrit. Casually, Meena Didi mentioned about who wants to start the classes on Sanskrit. And it's incredible where I was last, March and where I'm here right now. Just one, Meena Didi said, just randomly said almost, come and learn Sanskrit. And how important is to share, right? To invite people and to mention, even if you are not sure they're interested in. And I find very interesting that each of you had the various subjects and that open, various interests. And for instance, for me, my main interest is the sound of the language. I found it fascinating. And and I appreciate a lot Miss Archana enthusiasm, and she really has a power to guide. I think she really has a gift to be a teacher, and an ease to direct students and to promote Sanskrit.
Thank you. Thank you, Krina. Can we have Tej in the front?
Yeah, her video is not on. Tej, can you start the video?
Can we have you in the front, dear?
Tej, Rashmi and Veena ji, can you start your video?
Tej, Rashmi, and
Yeah.
Tej is done. Yeah, Tej has come.
Hi everyone. Namaste.
Let us spotlight you. Wait. Hi, Tej. Yes.
Hi everyone. I'm Tej, originally from India, currently living in San Jose, USA. Thank you everyone for this opportunity. Today, I'm actually soaked in all the research and all the knowledge you guys have shared. As Kaya was mentioning earlier, it acted as a refresher. The most fascinating, how much effects the Sanskrit has on our brain, body, the whole society as such, and also the intriguing questions like how we lost the connection to the whole Sanskrit. It was our knowledge. How did we lose that connection? Thank you, Balaji, actually bringing that up. It is an eye opener. The key takeaways I take from this session as of today is at least say Om 10 times, at least every morning, afternoon, and the evening, and chant the slokas, at least few slokas every day, and make that as a practice every day for our kids, even my kids. I was thinking as I was listening to the presentation, okay, this has to start from today, before sleeping we have to chant few Oms or some slokas so that they go in a deep relaxation state and have good sleep. So thank you for that. Thank you very much. And thank you, Archana ji, for this opportunity and to meet with all the scholarly people and share that knowledge. I'm very thankful. Thank you.
Thank you, Tej, for being so brilliant in the class. Me and Vanna Didi are aware about it. We keep appreciating this fact. Anyways, next time you're going to give presentations, okay? You're just not going to be the audience. Yes. Okay. Thank you so much. So we can have Veena Didi in front of us. Veena ji. Hi, Veena ji. You are on mute, dear.
You're on mute.
Yeah. Thank you. It was excellent present. Jai Gurudev and happy Gita Jayanti to all of you. It was excellent presentation, and I have been learning Sanskrit with Sanskrit Bharati, and I agree to most of the things you are saying, and I didn't know Art of Living has this. I am part of Art of Living family. I have taken quite a few courses with and workshops. So I would like, this was excellent, and I got a lot of information today, and it was very well covered why we should learn Sanskrit. So I have requested some slides in my chat, and
we will forward that. I believe Uma Didi introduced you about this particular thing, right? How did you get to know about this conference, Didi?
I received an email.
Okay. Thank you so much. Okay.
Yeah, Meenaj.
भवती अपि संस्कृतस्य अध्यापिका अस्ति. भवती अपि संस्कृतं पाठयति. You also teach Sanskrit, Didi?
No. I don't teach. I just learned.
Acha. You are a student. Okay.
Like in COVID, like many other people have been learning. I wanted to learn Sanskrit for a long time, and I have some kind of. I also believe that this is a language to learn, and it will be very beneficial, like mother of all languages. And I've been discussing with my friends about this, because at least in my mind, it will unite Indians as a mother of all languages, and it will be nice to learn. And you will be sending some information about the classes and all?
Yes, we will. You just drop me a message. I will include you in the group.
I have her number.
Acha. Maybe. Okay.
And I know Surekha ji. She's also from Chicago.
Oh.
So that is also, I mean, I was thinking about it. If I don't get in touch, I will ask her also. So that.
Rashmi is there.
Anita ji hasn't spoken.
Anita Didi, and yes. Sorry. Anita Didi. Rashmi Didi hasn't spoken to yes.
Hello everyone. I am Rashmi, and I am originally from India, right now in Seattle, Washington, in the US. And I feel like today's presentation was excellent. It takes a lot of courage first to write the material and then do a presentation to a lot of strangers. And everybody did an awesome job. And really the key takeaway for me was that I am very proud to have that rich Indian heritage where, Sanskrit is the cornerstone. And above all, I want to thank Archana ji for her passion and her relentless persistence and trying to make Sanskrit of a common language like any other language. So I want to say thank you, and thank you.
Thank you, Didi. Thank you for being so nice to me. Okay, Anita Didi, can we have you in the front? Hey, Anita Didi. Finally, we joined together.
I've already spoken, but just from South Africa, the wow factor, as Gurudev says, you've really increased, all the presentations have done that from the word go. So thank you everyone, to the excellent presenters, and also to the greatest inspirer and the one who burns with that fire of enthusiasm, Archana ji. Keep going. Yeah, you actually drive the process. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Didi. Okay, I believe everybody is done. The presenters, they have already spoken a lot. So the audience, we have already concluded. Can we have Akshay? He's the concluding ceremony guest for us. Hi, Akshay. Akshay, Didi, please spotlight Akshay. Akshay, wait, you have yet to be spotlighted. Wait, Akshay, let me introduce you. You are the concluding ceremony guest for us. Okay. So yes, Akshay says about himself that his name is Akshay Panda, urgently practicing advocate in Supreme Court of India. Very proud. I have also practiced in Supreme Court for a period of time under KTS Tulsi. Hope you know his name, right? Worked for Government of India for 34 years. His last position was Senior Economic Advisor level of Additional Secretary. He is in the Department of Heavy Industry. He was an IES officer of 1986 batch. Moreover, he has been my one-day Gita class learner. After that, we have been constantly in touch with both of us, and then he has been continuously motivating through WhatsApp, through phone call, and through many other means. Thank you, Akshay, for being with us, for joining us, for being so patient and hearing us. Okay, please start.
It's really a great honor for Archana ji to ask me to conclude the today's webinar on Sanskrit and interdisciplinary approach. Actually, she has given the responsibility to an illiterate person in Sanskrit. I must confess, I didn't study Sanskrit the the way I should have done in my school. Now I regret that why I neglected such a wonderful language. The speakers, there are many who brought in domain knowledge from different areas, how Sanskrit, its pronunciation, the language, the articulation, helps human body, human physiology, makes a person very healthy and fit. I knew about it earlier also, but my concern was more about Sanskrit as a language which embodied, or rather embodies, deep knowledge. The knowledge which we are now trying to learn through the medium of English. We neglected Sanskrit. We neglected to discover our traditional knowledge passed on from generation to generation. And over several centuries, we have destroyed the language as a mass language. Initially, it remained as an elite language when it was developed. It passed on from seers to some people, but the state patronage that was required to spread it as a mass language didn't happen. Even today, this doesn't happen. The state patronage, state effort that is required to promote the language, even after knowing that our pothis, the traditional books, handwritten books, contain so much of language, even after knowing that these pothis are being smuggled to Western world, and the Western scientists are learning the language to discover what is contained, the scientific knowledge contained in those pothis. I thank Archana ji, the great mission she has undertaken. I thanked all the audience, the enthusiasm they show in learning the language, discovering its contents and spreading it as missionaries of the language. I would encourage my job. I tried to learn the language at this stage, but could not. There is no excuse that I didn't have time. But the fact is that I didn't learn the language, though I had an opportunity. Archana ji offered me to handhold to learn the language. But I always told her that I'll stand by her in promoting her mission in spreading the language. I'll just to bring the essence in few words, I would say that till very 17th century, India was a very rich country. It was rich not for anything. It was not only rich for its good geography, it was rich for its knowledge that was contained in Sanskrit. But somehow history, the interventions of history damaged our preeminent position in the knowledge domain because we lost track of Sanskrit. Now we are learning. We have been trying to learn the foreign language, English, and trying to discover the knowledge. The same knowledge probably is hidden in Sanskrit. I would not go further, delve into the matter. As a person trained in economics, trained in building wealth, I would encourage everybody to learn Sanskrit, uncover the truth, the knowledge, and the vast scientific repository that is contained in Sanskrit language. I would always participate, always encourage anyone who learns Sanskrit and spread Sanskrit. One reason I could find out today from the seminar, I could find out why Sanskrit has not spread because of the encryption, that code that we require good teachers with a mission like Archana ji to make that encryption easier to decode. Thank you all. My congratulations to Archana ji and all the participants. Namaste.
Thank you, Akshay, for being so brilliant and so humble with us. Hey, everybody. Then we have concluded day one with so much of success, enthusiasm, and so much things to learn in future. I really congratulate each one of you for making presentation, for taking this lead. Vidya Didi, Vanna Didi, Bala Didi, Kamla Didi, Pramila Didi, Meena Didi, my special gratitude to your lotus feet. Okay. The presenters who are going to give presentation tomorrow, my best wishes to them. And I believe that we will come up with some more brilliant ideas in this behalf. We will take this journey forward and we have not yet started. Okay. Thank you so much for being with us. Last but not the least, our dearest Gurudev, His Holiness, Shri Shri Ravi Shankar, who has given me this tremendous opportunity many a time, but I have been ignoring his instruction, because of which I have faced lots of problems in my life. Now I'm on the path. Yesterday when I met Gurudev, he finally gave me the prasadam, the prasad of his happiness and bliss. I'm so grateful for being his disciple. And I do believe that the mission which he has for Sanskrit and also his rest of the Seva project, we will take it forward together and happily. Thank you so much for being with us. And I'm humbly thankful to all of you. Thank you. What to say? Ultimately, I just can say that aparitoshadna sadhu manne prayoga vijnanam. Unless the scholars are satisfied and happily contented, we should never consider the piece of creation as an authentic piece of creation. What we have been doing over the last 8 months, now it has been finally corroborated by several scholars. Then I do believe that the path which we have taken is righteous and holy. Thank you so much again. Jai Gurudev.